And now,
it's 10 a.m.
Let's just get down to it.
And it's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. Thanks for making us a part of your Thursday. Feels weird for me. You guys were nice enough to hold up the show for the first couple of days while I was out of town, so it does not feel like a Thursday to me.
But it's been a busy week, so it's moved quickly.
It's been a crazy week.
Yeah.
I can't believe the news, and of course, it still comes fast and furious. And honestly, I was thinking about PR today, and this isn't where we're going to start, but I mean, what a PR battle everything is. Did you see that Marcus Freeman went on Good Morning America? Which one's on NBC?
Mm-hmm. Our station.
So Notre Dame's not playing, but he's going on Good Morning America to be like, hey, we're still here.
Yeah.
We're the Fighting Irish.
Yep.
And
doing the work.
Doing all the work. Maybe one downside of this Kalani Sitake thing is it's taken the shine off. Oh, yeah, BYU's got a conference championship game in 2 days.
Yeah, coming right up 2 days from now. They'll be kicking off right now.
Against a top 5 team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked about that Texas Tech BYU game being one of the biggest and maybe the biggest regular season game BYU had ever played. This is the biggest conference championship game. Has BYU ever played a conference championship game?
No, because the Mountain West didn't have one.
Yeah.
So they've
They
only had like 3 opportunities to play.
You had to play 8 games, right? Was the rule 9 games? 9 conference? What was it?
No, you had to have 12 teams.
12 teams
to play a conference championship game.
These just make up rules.
Well, and rules that were so easily dismissed. Like the Pac, we're getting really sidetracked, but the Pac-12 expanded to 12 to meet that criteria. And then when the Big 12 was like, hey, we still want a championship game even though we have 9 teams, whoever makes the rules, the NCAA was like, all right.
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Knock yourself out.
You guys are all going to play each other. That's cool. You do the round robin thing. Great.
Best 2 teams play. All right. Team on 3. Like it was it was here today, gone tomorrow. It was hard and fast like Moses brought it down from Mount Sinai until it wasn't.
Yeah, it was law. It was unbreakable until one day somebody said, just throw it away.
No, that was the grant of rights thing, too, in a weird way. And this one's still around. But I remember when Maryland left the ACC, and everybody's like, oh, hold on there, Terp. You've got a grant of rights with the league. And you know what Maryland said? They were like, well, we don't care. Sue us. I mean, how Ben responds to every time somebody insults him.
Yeah.
Or he insults someone else. Sue me.
Yeah.
Sue us. And they paid whatever, $10 million eventually because it was arbitrated and it was never talked about ever again.
Right.
So it's kind of funny how that was definitely a thing. So we will talk a lot about the actual game today. However, that is not where we're going to start because there is other stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, it is not all that often BYU or Utah are at the center of the sports universe, and the fallout is always pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. But to set up a clip, because Brian Santiago was on the station today. He was on with DJ and PK. He was on for a long time, and it was really good. It was really informative, and it's cool. He comes onto the station after that, and after all this week, and it is posted up online, so you can get it wherever you get your podcasts if you want to give it a listen. But I want to highlight a discussion that you and I had, and one I think we agreed on a long time ago, probably a year ago, maybe more. We were talking about how in here, it's a really curious dynamic between Utah and BYU with how the college landscape plays out. Whereas BYU kind of is thriving in the Wild West. Mm-hmm. BYU's doing pretty well in the no rules universe. And we can get into why, and some of the reasons are obvious, some are not.
The money.
The money helps, but also the ability to do it without bending some sort of morality.
Yeah.
like they didn't break the rules before because they're BYU and they don't break the rules.
Right.
When there are no rules,
There's no rules to be broken.
there's no rules to be broken.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yep.
And it's really broken in their favor. Utah, however, does not have the same alumni, does not have the same abilities, and will not have the same resources as BYU going forward. Not to say that they don't have any. That's not what we're getting at.
Of course.
But as far as haves and have-nots in the modern top level of college football, Utah's probably more in that have-not category, whereas they're rooting for rules.
Mm-hmm.
They want rules. And by the way, Mark Harlan said as much when he came on the station and talked about optimistically looking forward to, and now it's past tense, but the rules going into place.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the rules are it's a funny thing right now because there are rules and there are not rules. And who's going to enforce those rules? And I thought that Brian Santiago was asked by David James this very question. In fact, I believe it was DJ. And he used the term Wild West and asked Brian the question. I want to play the answer. Now, it's 2 minutes long.
Okay.
But I think it's worthwhile to play the whole thing.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. The reality of the current landscape is that it's not sustainable. The Wild Wild West is not sustainable. It's not. There's no possible way there can be sustainability long term for college athletics if there's no enforcement, there are no rules, and these participation agreements that actually set into place the regulations that's going to keep it an even playing field. Everything comes down to enforcement, right? If they don't have a way to enforce so that all the schools are playing by the same rules with this new settlement cap, you can't live in a wild, wild west forever. And up until June 30th, it was the wild, wild west. And then once the settlement went into place, we, like everybody else, I know the Big 12 is unanimous, or everyone unanimous is pulling for and hoping that the necessary changes happen so that there's sustainability long term, the cap is enforced. And, you hear a lot out there about, and certainly with everything out there are people saying all these schools are promising additional money on top of the rev share and additional NIL commitments and circumventing the rules. It's not sustainable. And we're very, very hopeful that things will play out so that there are the same rules and regulations for everybody in college athletics so that we're all playing on an even playing field.
Good breath there from PK.
Uh-huh.
All right, I'm curious for your instant reaction, and I certainly have some thoughts, but as you hear that, what do you think?
Well, I guess I wouldn't understand entirely why BYU's athletic director would want regulation if on top of the revenue sharing, the $20 million, whatever you have to split among all your athletic department, however you want to, BYU's advantage right now is the extra revenue on top of that, the extra NIL on top of that. So in that sense, that's, it's not a coincidence that BYU's had the two best years they've had in the last 25 as soon as the NIL rules basically became unregulated. This is not a coincidence. It's the reason BYU is playing so well right now. And by the way, it's a credit to them. Good. You've got the people who want to spend the money. So I guess I don't understand necessarily why BYU would be one of the teams that would want to push back on that, other than I bet you it's really obnoxious to have to go and ask for money all the time for other people, to constantly be fundraising with big donors and asking for more and more and more and more. Not every summer, not every season, every month. Every month you have to call somebody and ask for more money. I bet you that's horrendous. You know people who have been in politics. Their job is fundraising, and it's horrendous. It's horrible. So I understand why they may not want to do that.
Okay, can I throw in one more piece of evidence, and then I'll give you my take. Do you remember one of the things that Kalani negotiated in his new deal, which we know a remarkable amount about, considering it's BYU? but do you remember he negotiated stuff for his coaches,
Stuff for himself.
Fan experience was in there, and Brian actually talked about that when he was on the station. But one other thing was
$10 to $15 million a year in extra NIL.
Now, why would he do that?
Right.
Why would that be a thing if that was the opinion of BYU? Now, before people, I'm not saying that Brian is being dishonest, because I actually think what he's doing is speaking the company line. But he did throw a really interesting nugget in there when he talked about it's all about enforcement. Because if other schools are going to continue to do it, so are they. Mm-hmm. I think that's what he was saying right there, right? It's all about enforcement. But you heard what he said about all of the Big 12 is unanimous. He's speaking the conference company line. That's what he's speaking. Yeah. The conference all signed on to it. This is what the conference is going to do. He's not going to rock the boat. He's not going to come in the first 7 months and act like Texas acted in that league for decades, right? He's not going to do anything like that. So he's not going to rock the boat. He's going to say we're all about rules and fairness and all this stuff because that's what people in Dallas or whatever want to hear.
Like that?
So that's that. But then he throws in it's all about enforcement, and it's all about everybody having an equal playing field. And I think that's we're not going to go back to being the only ones playing by the rules anymore. Mm-hmm. And so unless there's hard and fast rules that are enforceable, we're not going to play that game anymore because we don't have to, and we're not going to. So if other schools are going to have these NIL war chests and say, okay, well, you've got the salary cap and that's all cute and all, but we're doing this. And in fact, Brett Kavanaugh of the Supreme Court told us that we could. So have a nice day. So I thought it was a really curious answer because I thought it was very much a company line kind of thing. But when he threw in those comments about enforcement, I thought, okay, well, that's what we're talking about. Because if we want to operate by the rules and all this stuff, if that were what they were going to do, then why is Kalani negotiating $15 million in NIL? Am I wrong?
No,
am I
exactly
missing
right.
anything?
No, you're exactly right. Until there is regulation, which I think the only way you're going to be able to regulate that is with a collective bargaining agreement where you actually have some ability to enforce those types of rules. Which again, I get why this is confusing. We deal with this every day, and it's even confusing to us. But what people again need to remember: there is going to be $20-ish million per school that they can disperse amongst their athletic department and the players, specifically the players. There's no rules beyond just spending more money than that. It's not a cap. He said cap. It's not a cap. That's capped. How much the schools can directly provide. But the NIL stuff, which is supposed to be more stringently regulated now, they're supposed to have to go through the
file through like a
CSC, whatever it is, to actually make sure that people are doing work to get this name, image, likeness. As opposed to some no-show job a la Kawhi Leonard and just paying for play, essentially, while disguising it as NIL. I still think that's going to be really hard to do. I still think it's going to be really hard to enforce. There's so many players, there's so many teams, there's so many sports, there's so many deals.
Well, how much is what worth?
That
was always the flaw in all of this, right? Like even for summer jobs back when there were rules, like, okay, well, I'm going to pay you $60,000 to be a car washer in my car lot for a summer.
Yep.
And then you go, well, you pay the other car washers $625. He goes, well, this he's really good at it.
Yeah, you're VP.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's really killing it out there. Have you a guy his size? Have you seen how many cars he can wash in an hour?
Yeah, you water the lawn on campus. Well, isn't that all automated? Yeah, but you're in charge of that.
Like, how much is what worth? I mean, whatever that is a way to cover it and being like, oh no, this is all.
There's an action for these services.
We're still altruistic about all this stuff, which is just garbage.
Yeah, or have Ryder Lyons or whoever. I'm just throwing a name out there. That a big face coming forward. Ryder Lyons. Come out and show up for a commercial, show up for an ad, a radio hit, whatever it is, and say, for us, in our opinion, George Clooney would have cost $1.5 million. We think Ryder Lyons is worth $250,000. Whatever it is. So yes, that's the point. So to get back to this issue of what Brian Santiago is talking about, I do think if the rules were set, BYU would play
By the rules.
By
I
the
believe
rules.
that, yeah.
I don't think he's lying about that
No.
at all. But until those rules are set, which is probably not going to happen, yeah, your coach is going to ask for more money, and there are going to be enough donors that are lining up at BYU to spend that money. Because there are a lot of donors who don't want these rules. That's the other issue at play here is Brian Santiago can say that and can mean it. But if the donors want to keep spending money and the rules are that the donors can keep spending money, they're going to keep spending money, and he's going to have to figure out how it works.
I told you I had a buddy who's in the construction world who went to one of his vendors had a customer appreciation thing or whatever, and they had a bunch of Ute players there, and he got to make food with I can't remember which player it was at the time. It was back in the Cam Rising years. He got to it was like a cooking class with it. Anyway, said it was a terrific event. But it would be funny to be like, how much did that player get for doing that cooking class with you? Mm-hmm. $800,000.
Yeah, right. Yeah. There's $1.5 million.
It's that guy and Elton John. It takes him. It's at least $800,000 to get him off the couch.
Yep. So it's not going to go away soon. I don't expect. And while this lid is off, BYU should go crazy because you should get while the getting's good. And right now the getting is good for the rich schools. And BYU's a rich school, has rich donors.
So it's not that I don't believe Brian when he said that. I think there's a reason he said, we're going to play by the rules and all that. But I did find it interesting that he slid in there it's all about enforcement, right?
Yeah. And it comes right after they negotiated a contract where it was very well reported that, yes, there's $10 to $15 million extra included in BYU's NIL from day one.
Can I ask you this? And I risk it of looking dumb, but who's going to enforce it now? Is that written in anywhere? I mean, didn't the NCAA try to punish, Tennessee for doing something wrong with NIL and it basically got dismissed? Like, is it the FBI? I mean, who's going to enforce it now? Who's supposed to enforce it now?
The CSC, the College Sports Commission. That's where all these deals are supposed to be filed through.
Do they have an army of lawyers? Do they have an enforcement arm? The NCAA at least pretended to have an enforcement arm.
As we have said.
Is it a secretary that sends a cease and desist?
There's 130 teams. What are we up to in scholarships now? Is it still just 83, 85, or did it climb to 100? Whatever it is. Let's say conservatively it's at 80. With 130 teams, I mean, do the math. You're going to enforce all that, and that's just football. There's 300 basketball teams that have 12 to 15 kids each and whatever that is, And then there's women's basketball, and then there's baseball, and then there's softball, and then there's the golf team. It's like, yeah, how big is this college sports commission?
So,
do you have 100,000 people working that can go over this? You need the IRS out here, to be able to look over all these numbers and who's getting paid. So, no, I don't have any faith in it. They let the genie out of the bottle really early with no plan on how to fix it. And then they thought, we'll pretend there's some regulation after.
Well, BYU's in a weird spot because it's working for them. And I don't think that Brian Santiago can come out and say, well, we're actually rooting for no rules because this is really working out in our favor. Because BYU is still BYU. They're going to follow rules. At least enforceable ones, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I thought that was really interesting. Brian was good. The whole thing was good. Him talking about negotiations with Kalani and all the things. Another interesting thing he said, just as long as we're reliving it, that Kalani has been getting offers every year. So this isn't anything new, but this was, I think it spoke to, he didn't really say this, but I read into it, that this one was real. And I do believe that Kalani wasn't just playing one off the other. He was prepared to go to Penn State.
Yeah. It's a good job.
So, but yeah, like I said, the whole interview was good.
And I've been curious, does this stop? Does this have to stop now for Kalani after getting, this latest deal? Or is this going to be every offseason? It might be every offseason right now.
That seems to be how college football works.
Yeah. And Kalani's in his prime, and kids buy in, and he gets kids to do probably more than their recruiting rankings, and then he's also shown he can get top recruits. So, yeah, he's exactly the type of guy you should be looking for if you are at a Penn State. If you are at one of these schools that feels like they can compete for a championship, Kalani's not done anything to say that he can't. So, and if they win this weekend, his value is going to go up even more next summer. So that's what's interesting that's coming up still for BYU. And if they're going to constantly be having to play defense on Kalani Sitake, I'll be curious what that looks like.
And if he stinks next year, it's out on your ear, pal. You're making $9.5 million. Buy an island.
for Kalani.
I guess.
Yeah, it's where you got to be.
But that's the world. I mean,
I don't think he's going to stink next year.
Oh, well, I don't either.
Good
But
news.
think about that. I mean, all this goodwill could be out the door. Why do you think we're talking about all these monster buyouts in college football?
Yeah, right.
It's because these coaches build up all
Nobody
this goodwill.
thought Chris Kleiman was going to be out on his ear this year.
No.
And he is.
All he does is win 8 to 9 games a
Or
year
Brian
at Kansas
Kelly
State.
or James Franklin.
Yeah,
or
all these
these
guys. Yeah. Lose 3 games at Penn State, and it's have a nice day.
Yep. And because the donors play such a huge role in it now, or the boosters, I should say, because there's so much money involved, they have a bigger say.
There's no patience.
They have less patience than your athletic department's going to.
Way less.
Yep.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more coming up next. It's the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It is time for the top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com, brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials, J. Brooks Jewelers. All right, Christian, where do you want to start today?
Number 1, this might be the last time we get to talk about this year. BYU getting some much-needed reinforcements, according to the Big 12 title game availability reports.
Sione Moa back. Chase Roberts probably could have played last weekend, but I think they recognized they were going to crush Central Florida, so why not let him have another week off and get healthy to play in the conference championship game, and that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, it's good because BYU's got to throw it all over them.
Yeah, I think that has more to do with BYU's offensive line than it necessarily does Chase Roberts, though Chase Roberts is still probably your most gifted receiver.
Have a guy you can get the ball to and who's going to make a play. I mean, that's a huge deal in this game in particular. I think he's extraordinarily valuable. He's not the only one on the team who can do it, but they've got to have players like that can make big-time plays in – like your point their point about the D-line, if he's not going to have a ton of time to throw the ball, he's got to get it out quick, and then they got to do something with it.
Chase was BYU's best player in the last game against Texas Tech. 6 receptions, 61 yards, had the touchdown. It was the lone touchdown that BYU scored. So, yeah, they need him to come out and play well, and having him healthy is going to be a big plus. But they're going to have to figure out BYU how to deal with Jacob Rodriguez and David Bailey, and I think that's what this game's going to come down to. If they can slow those guys' attack, and specifically David Bailey, who's one of the best defensive players in the country, if they can allow Bear to have time, as you mentioned, then, yeah, he can throw the ball. We've seen that, and he can actually pick teams apart, good teams. So if you give him a little bit of time to stand up there and make some decisions, great. If L.J. Martin's limited to 35 rushing yards and Bear Bachmeier can't run or is running for his life, this is going to be a tough game for BYU, similar to how it was when we watched these teams play, week 9, week 10?
Yeah, I am not disagreeing with you in the slightest here. I'm only talking about the last time these two teams played. I think BYU game plan scared of Texas Tech. Mm-hmm. So all those things that you just mentioned are certainly true. But I think they played scared against Texas Tech the first time. Go out and be aggressive. Don't be scared of the...
Well, you got nothing to lose now.
You don't be scared of the D-line. Yeah, those guys are great. No offense to those guys. They've had a terrific year. I know you cannot doubt it for 1 second. And they've won games, including the Utah game, almost single-handedly for the team. I got it. I'm not discounting them. But don't game plan that you're scared to death of that. Because that's how they game planned in the first game. They were terrified of Texas Tech. They weren't going to make a mistake. It was the most... It was... Remember how conservative they were with the Bear right out of the gate, and it slowly loosened? They went right back to game 1 against Texas Tech because they were scared of all of that. Well, you're not going to win. You proved you're not going to win by game planning like that.
Like that?
So make an adjustment and go out, and you know what? Maybe you lose by 30, but be aggressive. Try to move it. Come back to how did Utah beat Alabama? They came out and they got them on their heels and they beat the brakes off them because they were aggressive. And that was not the MO of that team all year long. So if you're truly playing the New York Giants out there, then you've got to have a game plan that gives yourself a chance. And being scared of the other team did not work in game 9. And I think they need to throw that right into the garbage can and almost like Trump derangement syndrome, just do the opposite.
Yeah. Bear Bachmeier was 23 of 38 in this first game. So he did throw the ball around, but they were playing from behind the whole time, so he had to throw the ball a little bit more. It did not allow L.J. Martin to get going, though L.J. Martin was not effective in that game. Bear also ran the ball 11 times because he was pressured so often.
He's not going to get the offense going, LJ. If you're saying run to open up the pass, I don't think
it's got to be the other way.
I don't think it's going to work.
I think you're right.
And that, no offense to LJ, who's much more healthy going into this game, which absolutely should be a factor. But nobody has run on Texas Tech, have they? What's their worst run game of the year? I should look it up. Sorry, I shouldn't say we. Things that I should do.
L.J. Martin has been BYU's best offensive player, I think, the last 3 weeks. He had 3 touchdowns against Central Florida. He had 222 yards against Cincinnati. He had 88 yards and a touchdown against TCU. They were just blowing all those teams out. And they didn't blow Cincinnati out, but they were, for the most part, taking care of these teams. He has been crucial for them. So if they have to change that going into the conference championship game, it is a departure from what they've been comfortable with. But I do think you're right. I don't think if you go out there and allow BYU or try to just run the ball, you're going to have a lot of success against this Texas Tech team unless BYU's offensive line just has the game of their life.
Texas Tech is indeed the best team in the country against the run. Mm-hmm. Surrendering, this is crazy, 69 yards per game on the ground. And, Ben, they've only given up 5 touchdowns on the ground all year.
Have they given up a 100-yard rushing game?
I don't know that yet. I'm trying to get into their game logs as far as rush defense goes. But, those stats would indicate if they have, and it hasn't been many.
Yeah, 69 yards is nothing. You basically can't get off the ground there. So, very impressive.
Let's see here. Okay, I've got it for you, Ben. Arkansas Pine Bluff, they gave up 53, 63 to Kent State, a whopping 8 to Oregon State, 101 to Utah, 103 to Houston, 47 against Kansas, 75 against Arizona State, 95 against Oklahoma State. Your Wildcats of Kansas State, Ben, 126 for a season high. BYU 67, UCF 52, West Virginia 37.
So a couple of times. But they're not giving up 150.
What do you mean a couple of times? Even 126 sucks.
Yeah, it's a terrible night. Yeah, it's a terrible game.
That's their season high. So LJ Martin in the run game is always important, but I don't think they're going to be able to establish themselves in that manner. I don't think that's going to be a thing.
Agreed.
And Utah ran the ball for 101 yards. That wasn't for lack of trying. They had 31 attempts and couldn't run the ball with one of the better offensive lines, certainly in the conference. So I don't think...
Number 2 rushing attack in the entire country.
Yeah, right. 101 yards. Great point, Christian.
In their lone loss, they lost to Arizona State. I'm pulling this up.
And it wasn't because of the run.
It was not. Arizona State threw for... Oh, this isn't the actual box score. I can pull it up really quickly. Arizona State outscored them 26-22 and had 320 yards to the air, 319. So that's probably going to be your best pathway. Yeah, you'd have to have 300 passing yards from Bear.
That's how it's going to have to go.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see if they do it.
You need some turnovers from Bear and Morton.
All right, next.
Number 2, NBA news. We've got the Jazz in Brooklyn tonight. But speaking of New York, Giannis Antetokounmpo popping up in trade rumors.
He and his people have begun to discuss, according to Shams Charania at ESPN, whether or not he should stay in Milwaukee long term. So they're talking about that with Milwaukee's front office, which basically I think means Milwaukee has given them permission to go and set up trades with other teams, and then Milwaukee can decide if they like any of those trades or if that's a starting point. That's kind of how this stuff tends to work. So we will see where that goes. I expect Milwaukee to trade Giannis at some point, whether it's this season. It's kind of hard to do in season. For a player like Giannis to get to his $54 million salary, you're going to have to take several players back, unless you're trading him for another $54 million player. There's just not many of those guys. So you're going to have to take multiple players back, which makes it difficult because you do have roster limits of how many players you actually have on your roster. So unless it's multiplayer, multi-trade, then the money gets really difficult. It's just
you can assume they'll package Thanasis.
You would think, Thanasis is going to go as well. Like, he's going to go with some of his brothers. But it's hard to do these in season. So I'm a little skeptical it'll get done this year.
If this was even a possibility, why didn't Milwaukee do it in the offseason?
They should have. They made the big swing buying out or essentially waiving and stretching Dame to go and get Miles Turner, hoping that would allow them to continue to keep this dream alive or keep the band together a little bit. The band being Giannis and his two brothers that also play for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, and the consultant, Doc Rivers, was going to be the one to make that symphony hum, huh?
Yeah. So, no, this ship has been not even gradually sinking, but pretty dramatically sinking for a while now. And yeah, you can go back and if you want to criticize Danny Ainge and Ryan Smith and the Jazz for trading Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell too early, I think there's an argument to be made there. They also didn't want to get to this point where this is constantly hanging over you. The body is dead, and you're just trying to figure out what you can get back for it. And that's where the Milwaukee Bucks are.
It's funny. Roster maintenance is such a big deal. If you look at the Bulls roster during the first 3 championship runs and the second 3 championship runs, they are very different.
Extraordinarily different.
If you look at the Patriots in the NFL, the first Super Bowl compared to like the 4th Super Bowl compared to the 7th Super Bowl, entirely different.
Yeah, only one thing's the same.
Only one thing is the same. And those moves for prolonged success are obviously critical. And Milwaukee sunk themselves the day they made the Damian Lillard deal. And you and I talked about it that day. I remember the show saying this is not only not going to help the Bucks, but it's going to hurt the Bucks, which it did. And then Dame getting hurt is really a kind of a sad ending to his time in Milwaukee because it's not Dame's fault. But that was not what that team needed to maintain an NBA championship roster. It was misdiagnosed by the GM, and they made a bad move that they can't get out from under. And the day they made that move, it was over. So Oklahoma City, just for an example, they're in an interesting spot where they're going to be good, and they could be really good for a long time. But if they make the wrong maintenance move, let's say Oklahoma City cashes out the rest of that draft capital and makes a move for Giannis. And all of a sudden he and Shea way overlap and it doesn't really work together. And then all of a sudden what could have been a generational basketball team made the wrong move and now is capped out against the second apron, can't do anything, no more resources because they cashed it in for the wrong thing, and it's over. It could have been 3 titles, but it's over.
We've talked about margin for error in the college football playoff. Because of the new tax aprons in the NBA, the margin for error is very slim. So even if you feel like you're 1,000 miles ahead of anybody else in the league, a la the Oklahoma City Thunder, it can come crashing down very quickly, and that's what teams like Milwaukee have recognized. Or Phoenix, who you remember they played each other in the same finals when Giannis got his title there in Milwaukee. Those were the same team together, and Phoenix has been the laughingstock of the NBA now for 12 to 18 months, and Milwaukee is trying to avoid being that level of laughingstock, but they've not had any more success.
Maxing out Michael Porter Jr. prevented the Nuggets from winning multiple championships.
Yes, it did.
I'm not going to take away his credit because he was on a championship team, so good on you. But that contract made it so they couldn't win multiple. Yes. Now, we'll see if their recovery moves turn out to be savvy and they're back in the mix. But they could have had multiple titles if they did not max out Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah.
This is the stuff I love about the NBA. It's like if Giannis gets moved, it way depends on the price and where he goes. It could totally change everything, or it could be a huge disaster.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Number 3, the Mammoth bounced back in a big way. Biggest, most lopsided win in franchise history.
I think it's Vemelka's first shutout. I think it's only the second shutout in franchise history. I know Staub had one last year, Stauber. The third string.
7-0, by the way.
But 7-0 is crazy. Yeah. And it got started early, and it just did not stop throughout the entire night. It was a very balanced effort. And you did feel, urgency, which had not been the case recently. They had just looked really desperate. And I do think bringing up some of the young guys in Daniil Boot and Maverick Lamoureux just kind of gave them a spark. And sometimes you have to have those young guys that keep everybody ignited. And while I think that excitement probably came last year from Logan Cooley and Dylan Gunther and some of the guys they had, I think that pressure this year to just make the playoffs kind of eliminated maybe some of the fun. And it seems like the fun was back last night. They were seemingly loving it.
Well, yeah, 7-0. Yeah,
It's a fun game.
Everybody loves playing when it's 7-0.
Yeah.
And the Mighty Ducks aren't great, right?
They're a lot. I think they're like 16-9 and 16-10-1. They're much better than the Mammoth. So that was a good win. That was a really good win. On the road. They desperately needed it. We'll see if now they can turn it into anything.
All right, yeah, 7-0. Why did they get rid of the Mighty? That was stupid.
I bought a Anaheim Ducks jersey this morning. I'm pretty excited about it. I found it at the thrift store. I stop at the thrift sometimes before I come into work.
Was it the Mighty Ducks?
Uh-huh.
Was it the orange or green one?
Purple and green.
Ah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay. Happy for you.
Because it's a great logo. And you're right. Why did they get rid of the Mighty? It was awesome.
The Mighty was great.
Yeah, and I found one this morning. I was very thrilled about it. So.
The Mammoth, have significantly fewer points than the Ducks. So, yeah, the Ducks are better.
Yeah, 16-10-1 now. Mammoth are 13-12-3. But they're back in the wild card spot, so they needed it. Again, this is the point. As much as they had struggled, they had not fully erased that 7-game winning streak and all the points they got out of that. They just got to maintain this. It can't be a one-off.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more Jake and Ben coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I want to remind you to nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at kslsports.com/contests and listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week, sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals.
Per Pete Thamel, I think I said that right, Pete Thamel, number 14 Vanderbilt explored the possibility of playing an exempt 13th game this weekend as a way to give one final showcase for the College Football Playoff. There was interest from the team, university officials said, the athletic department, and the coaching staff. According to Liam Blutman, who was also the guy who was breaking all the news on Kalani Sitake in Penn State, Vandy had supposedly reached out to Miami and Utah. Obviously, neither game came to fruition.
So Vandy wanted to play an exhibition to stay in the news, right?
To show off that they can still play and play against another team that is also in the conversation to make a push for the College Football Playoff. So if Utah were to beat Vandy, they could hang their hat on, hey, we just beat the number 14 team. Miami's right in that range as well.
Except for the playoff committee can't pay attention to an exhibition.
They're not
game.
supposed to.
And this would be a roaring waste of time. And is outside of the rules. The only time you can play an extra game is if you play off the continent. That there is a hard and fast rule for that. So that was a waste of time.
I don't know what an exempt game is, unless it's just an exhibition.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
so
it.
You're
so it doesn't
together.
count, and nobody can watch it. Nobody can take it into consideration. It's a waste of time.
Yeah. It's not on TV.
It can't be sanctioned by a conference, so I don't even know how you would sell it to TV.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
streaming.
Yeah, I appreciate...
And when you get to play Saturday while all the other conference championship games are going on?
I appreciate the pluck, but...
You get to play Friday?
That sounds to me more like a ploy to stay in the conversation than it even does trying to accomplish scheduling a football game. But maybe it's not.
I mean, it wouldn't have changed anything is my ultimate opinion. If Vandy had come out and beaten Utah, they would have been like, oh, cool.
I don't think
for you.
We can't even consider that. It's like when the judge, I mean, if the committee has any legitimacy, I guess, but it's like when the judge says the jury must disregard. Like you can't consider it.
By the way, I've never believed that for a minute, right? If I heard it and the judge says, you didn't hear that, I heard it. Yes, I did. But to the point of...
You heard it, but legally you're supposed to not take it into your consideration when adjudicating the case.
Okay, Judge. Good talk. But yes, this was a funny idea, a silly idea of playing an extra game, but I can't imagine this would ever happen. Just, you know what you guys should do? You should play a non-conference game at the beginning of the season and have that really matter at the end of the year. That would be awesome. Set up a game coming up in the future, but I don't think we're going to see that coming.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, the rest of the college football would revolt.
Yes. Or everybody would start doing it because it's a copycat league. And then the ESPN, the Fox, the CBS, whoever has all these championship games this weekend would be very furious if there was a full slate because they pay huge money because these are the only games on TV and they are traditionally top 15, if not top 10 matchups, and they want to have all the eyeballs on their advertising.
Coming up next, we will get back into the Big 12 title game, and an interesting stat has surfaced on in regards to Penn State and their coaching search. And I also, Ben, think and we don't have to dwell on this, but I think there is a local title to be passed on. The best in state history. We may have a new best. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
So stay tuned for that.
I can't wait. I don't know what this is.
All right. This is Jake and Ben. More next. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Let's go! Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. It's a Big 12 title game showdown for Kalani Sitake and the Cougars as they square off against Texas Tech for a spot in the College Football Playoff. Exclusive Big 12 title game coverage on the Zone is presented by JCW's, the Burger Boys, quality and a lot of it. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Get the best blankets and gifts ever and save 50% this season with promo code ZONE50 at Minky Couture. Shop online at minkycouture.com or visit any of our 6 locations. That's Minky Couture. All right, Ben, to pay off this tease, and then we can get to the game, and we may have some new Big 12 news. But I think we have a new candidate for best cheap shot in state history.
Oh, okay.
Now, we kind of have to think about it for a second to establish what the current champion is.
I don't have to think about it, but okay.
What is it?
Waylon Lapuaho?
Was it that?
Yeah, punching somebody in the groin from behind while they're laying down on a pile is the ultimate cheap shot.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. And that certainly is a candidate, I would say. I mean, that was not above board.
No, it was Louis Lapuaho.
Yeah, it was Louis Lapuaho.
Pardon me.
Who did it against Boise State in 2015.
Waylon is on the team currently.
Yeah,
Louis Lapuaho.
Yeah, this was 10 years ago.
Okay.
And yeah, it's not great. I would also throw in Kai Nakua's sucker punch at the Miami Beach Brawl.
Uh-huh.
Because at least Louis, I mean, like, Lord knows what goes on at the bottom of a pile, you know what I mean?
And it wasn't like a 10-man pile, right?
No, but at least it was kind of during the game. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Whereas the Miami Beach Brawl was a straight-up brawl.
Sure.
And he went up behind somebody and punched him in the side of the head. Yep. So I would throw that up for consideration. I could not find an old grainy video about this, but there was a famous play where a Utah State player tackled Chris Maafala by his nether regions.
Oh, okay. Decent.
That was back in the 90s. So those would be my contenders.
Okay.
Let me ask you this, Ben. If this is a new title contender, this happened at the Utah Tech Santa Clara game in Santa Clara, where Santa Clara's player Alan Graves absolutely dunked Utah Tech's Chase Trujillo into next Thursday. As Graves is running back down the court, and running isn't, he's kind of bouncing and yelling and celebrating. Trujillo punches him right in the side of the face.
Oh, no.
So I have the video evidence for Ben. If you're curious for yourself, just Google it. It's definitely out there. Let's see here. All right. Got it up for Ben. Here we go. Guy comes down. Big dunk. Right in his face. Running back. Bouncing back. Oh. Bam! Right there.
Yeah, he does. He just punches him because he gets dunked on.
Right in the side of the head. You want to see it again? You want to review?
So the Utah Tech player punched the Santa Clara player.
Yeah, the Utah Tech player, Trujillo.
Number 2.
Humiliated and then punches the guy right in the side of the head.
Cheap shot.
Big time.
Yeah. Well, they were down 7. Game was close to over. Tough year for Texas Tech. Utah Tech, excuse me. They're 5-6 now in the season. All right.
What do you think?
It's not great. With all due respect, the knock is that it's a Texas or a Utah Tech basketball player. And
yeah, it's not going to get the headlines, but let's judge the violation here.
That's the most egregious. I mean, that's a true punch to the face.
So was kind of Kua's, though, to be...
It was. But that wasn't a brawl.
It was in a brawl, yeah. Does that make it better?
A little bit. I think a little bit better.
A little more understandable? You can sucker punch somebody in a brawl? As opposed to celebrating after a big dunk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The game clock was going on.
Christian, have you seen this video? Do you want to weigh in?
Watched it this morning. I better hold my tongue. Utah Tech has a pretty heated rivalry with SUU.
Oh, whatever.
So.
Come on. Is this worse than kind of Kua or Louis Lapuahu?
There have been some famous slaps and punches. Nick Emery punched.
It's reminiscent of a Meta World Peace.
Brandon Taylor
James
at Utah.
Harden.
Oh yeah, I was at that game.
Who was the basketball player at Utah who transferred? He ended up playing overseas for a while. He'd go to like Mississippi State or Ole Miss. I can't remember where he transferred. He was very controversial. What was his name?
Oh, yeah, he was in the G League for a hot minute.
And he had a punch or a slap or got slapped or got punched.
Yeah, against BYU too,
yeah,
right?
against BYU.
Yeah, I can't remember all of that.
No, I can't remember when it was. That wasn't one of the reasons.
But slaps or punches aren't necessarily cheap shots. See, the thing that made Kainakua's bad wasn't because he punched the guy. It's because he ran up behind him and punched him while he wasn't looking. That's what makes it a cheap shot.
Yeah, Trujillo, this player was kind of running past him now, and he decks him.
He punches him out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That's what makes it a true cheap shot.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. It's in the running, certainly. It's just not quite at our biggest school.
I don't think that should matter.
Okay.
And the fact that Christian's worried about some silly rivalry alarms me.
Can you put it out on our Twitter page so people can find it?
Yeah, I can.
At Jake and Ben?
Yeah. I just don't have anything nice to say. So
I'd like to know the
That's
other.
not how this job works.
I'd like to know Marshall Henderson.
That's how radio works. Marshall Henderson. Thank
was the
you.
name, and I'd like to know what other candidates were missing. The
What you
Louis
got
one
Wednesday?
stands out. The Kainakua one stands out. I remember the Utah State one from back in the day, even though I can't find the video of it.
Marshall Henderson threw the punch.
Well, that's not a surprise.
Yeah. He's rough.
Whoops.
Played with some fire.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. All right, Christian, you want to hit us with the Big 12 news?
Yeah, they are releasing their conference awards. Kalani Sitake has won Big 12 Coach of the Year. LJ Martin, Offensive Player of the Year. Bear Bachmeier, Freshman of the Year. On the Utah side, Devin Dampier won Newcomer of the Year. Spencer Fano won Best Offensive Lineman. Then several Utes and Cougars are on the first team and second team. Those are being tweeted out right now.
Well, Coach of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Offensive Freshman of the Year are very good awards for BYU and deserve it. I think you could have made a case for Brent Brennan as Coach of the Year at Arizona. Winning 9 games was very surprising. But Kalani took a true freshman quarterback, replacing a very good quarterback, and had a better year this year than he did last year. And then credit Bear for living up to or exceeding every expectation. And then, LJ Martin was awesome.
I always found the criteria for whatever Coach of the Year kind of silly. Like, what is really your criteria? Like, should Joey McGuire be grumpy today if they win the league? I guess he and Kalani have the same record. Mm-hmm. I hear you about Brent Brennan, but, I mean, he's not in the conference title game. Did he do the best coaching job? Like, what is the criteria? I like the way you put it, that if you want to look at it, taking a true freshman into a season, only losing once and having a chance to win the league, how many times does that happen?
Yeah. Let me see if I can.
But is that on the true freshman of the year, or is it the coaching job?
Noah Fafita. This is the all Big 12 first team. Noah Fafita, quarterback at Arizona. Raleek Brown from Arizona State, the running back. LJ Martin from BYU. Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver, is going to be a top 10 pick in the draft. Josh Cameron, the wide receiver at Baylor. Mari Thomas from Houston, the wide receiver. Eric McAllister at TCU. Michael Trigg, who was the guy who got the athletic director fired at Baylor. Tanner Koziel from Houston. Omar Albigdian from Baylor. Bruce Mitchell on the offensive line from BYU. Sam Height from Kansas State. And then, of course, the 2 tackles from Utah.
That's 14 players. That
Spencer
should be
Fano
allowed.
and Caleb Lomu. Well, you get a fullback, right? That's what the 2 flexes are, or essentially you get a couple guys you can just move in.
Why does that bother you so there, Christian? I actually think
Offense
they should.
is 11 players.
But the conference is now 25 teams.
Yeah, the Big 12 is no longer the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, what did making all conference back when it was the Big 8? There's 8 teams. You double the size. You keep the same. I mean, I get what you're saying, but these are meaningless anyway. So why not give a couple?
This doesn't mean anything.
Why not give a couple extra players a little love, considering they're having to beat out twice as many players to get that meaningless award in the first place?
I will say, I think all of the local players that are on that list should have made it, regardless of it being 14 or 11.
No snubs. Do we feel like, maybe Chase Roberts could have been in the conversation at wide receiver, or Parker Kingston, or as a flex player, whatever you want to do there, but not that they're full.
But it is funny, right? Snubbed for what?
Yeah.
That now they have to tell their family at Thanksgiving dinner that they're second team all conference instead of first team all conference?
Yeah. Or you were the 13th offensive player of the year.
And then your family goes
on the offensive starting all first team.
Jack Kelly was a honorable mention for defensive player of the year.
Okay. But did he make first team all defense?
He did, yeah.
There you go.
Jack Kelly as well as Tanner Wall. And that John Henry Daly from
I hope they give him a ribbon or something.
Yeah, you get a also played in this conference trophy.
Maybe a certificate?
With some good players this year. I don't know how to surmise it anymore. And Kalani had a great season. And Kalani's going to have a great season every year. BYU's got a hell of a head coach.
And the 2 local teams were amongst the 3 best teams in the league. So not a surprise that they are represented heavily.
To the point, to bring this back to something relevant that people actually care about, Texas Tech had 5 players on the all-defensive Big 12 first team. And I think that's rightfully so. And I think that's what you're going up against this weekend, even though they also had... They have 12. They have 13 players here on the Big 12 all-defensive first team. It's not down to 11 either. They're just stacked defensively, and it's going to be the best defense BYU has maybe ever faced. They played some great Utah defenses, and this Texas Tech is as good as those, if not better. So BYU's going to have to figure out a way to move the ball, and that has not always been easy for the Cougars this season, despite the fact of how good L.J. Martin has been, how good Chase Roberts has been, Parker Kingston's been, and then, of course, freshman of the year, Bear Bachmeier.
Well, it certainly didn't happen in the first meeting between the 2 teams. So they need to channel what worked. We highlighted the second half against Iowa State. I mean, find the connective tissue on when you went out and were at your best, specifically throwing the ball. And that's what you've got to go out there and do. And they say that they have all the confidence in the world in the freshman quarterback. Well, now's the time to prove it.
Yeah, well, again, what do you have to lose? You're not going to back your way in. You're not going to lose to Texas Tech and make the college football playoff.
As ridiculous as that is, it is true.
I think even if you lose this game 24-23, I think they keep you out.
Because they want to.
Because they are doing exactly what they want, which is getting a bunch of SEC schools and Big Ten schools, and then whoever has to fill in the rest, plus Notre Dame, gets to fill in the rest.
Well, plus Notre Dame isn't an automatic. I mean, it's funny.
No, it's not. But if you're splitting hairs here of who you're going to pick, they will pick Notre Dame. A, Notre Dame's ranked above BYU right now, and B, Notre Dame's a bigger name.
Or they'll pick Miami.
Yeah.
Because Miami beat Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'll have to figure out a way to twist the logic, but none of the logic twisting has anything to do with BYU. So it is. They don't have anything to lose. I agree. So game plan like it and go out and take it to them.
Does BYU have the wild card player that can come out here and change this game?
Yeah, Chase Roberts.
Do you think it's Chase? I actually think it's just Bear. But the problem is the way Bear changes the game is that his legs are a huge weapon in addition to his arm, and I don't think you could run the ball against Texas.
No. He didn't run it the first time, and they had a spy on him the whole game, and yeah.
But
in fact, Bear didn't really run the same way he ran post-Texas Tech because they put the game plan out on how to stop him from doing what was so effective for the first part of the season. It's actually pretty amazing that it took that long. So, no, it's not going to have anything to do with his legs, and it's going to have everything to do. He's going to have to make quick, high-pressure throws and do them accurately. But if he does, he's got to have somebody go make a play because I don't think it's going to be the Ben Roethlisberger stand back there for a half an hour and let your guy run all the way down the field and then you throw it to him. I don't think that's how it works.
No, that's not going to be the case. And you're right. I actually think the way BYU's been most dangerous this season is when Bear has been able to use his legs. And you think of, the miraculous touchdown he had against Utah where he's dragging guys into the end zone with him and guys are bouncing off of him. that has been a major plus for them. But you're right, Texas Tech does not allow that. And if you're not that dynamic, then how do you get that extra
disarm
element to your offense?
That's what he has to do.
Yeah, so the receivers have to go out there and they have to make big plays.
Yep. And so I do. I think it's the receiving core. You can throw the tight ends in there, but they're going to need skill position players to, I hate these stupid cliches, but make plays in space,
But you know what? That's what they've done. It's what Parker Kingston does very well. It's what Chase Roberts does well. And then you need JoJo Phillips to come out there and be one of those guys.
But if you go max protect all game and are worried about mistakes, I don't think that's going to get it done.
It's an uphill battle for BYU. I maintain that throughout. We've known this is probably going to be the game for a month now. Even when these two teams played, we figured they'd probably meet one another again in the conference championship game, and here they are. And I don't know if enough has changed for me to think BYU is going to see a dramatically different result. I don't think they're going to get shut out for the first 3.5 quarters of the game like they did in game one. And I do think having at least 40,000 BYU fans at this game, if not more, is going to be a huge plus. And it is sold out for what they've set the record, right? The last record was 86,000. So it's going to be close to 90 with standing room and whatever you can pack people in there. I'm curious to see what this looks like and how that balances, but Texas Tech hasn't cared about going and playing in other stadiums. They went and played at a Ruckus Rice-Eccles Stadium and destroyed Utah. Well, destroyed them in the fourth quarter and really limited Utah's ability to move the ball at all before that.
If BYU has 40,000, I'll be impressed. I don't know if the ratio is going to be quite that high. As much as BYU travels and all that, I mean, the Texas Tech fans haven't been here all that often, and there's enough of them, obviously, that they're going to travel. And it's a lot easier to get there than it is from Provo, even though I'm sure they'll draw all the LDS community around Texas. So.
Lubbock to Arlington, again, because Texas is massive.
It's huge, yeah.
It's 330 miles. It's 5 hours to drive there. So, but yes, a quick flight if you're going to fly there.
Still closer than Provo. Absolutely. But BYU hasn't been here in a long time either. So if you're going to go support them, and AT&T Stadium has the ability to fit, I mean, it's sold out, so not everybody, but as many people as they can, it's going to be a great ticket. This is going to be a very fun game. I'm excited for this. 10 a.m. is awesome. It's going to be right there on ABC. It's going to be kind of the game that kicks off the entire weekend. Everyone's excited for it, and you have to win. All of our Big 12 championship.
Is it safe to say this is a must-win?
All of our Big 12 championship game coverage brought to you by JCW's The Burger Boys, quality and a lot of it. Real quick.
Thanks, man.
Real quick, can we play?
Well, I get in trouble every time I say a game's a must-win. It's a little bit Peter and the Wolf. I just don't know when I can actually say it now.
Well, when it applies to the point you're trying to make.
Does it now?
Must win to make the playoffs? Well, I guess technically no. But I would allow it in this circumstance because I don't have any faith in the playoff committee to make the right decision. We play a quick game because we've got Keith Smith coming up next, one of our favorite NBA insiders. But I've got a kind of a guessing game for you. Ben, here are the list of coaches that have passed on Penn State. You ready?
Let's hear it.
Matt Rule to stay at Nebraska. Kalani Sitake to stay at BYU. Kurt Signetti to stay at Indiana. Mike Elko to stay at Texas A&M. Eric Drinkwitz to stay at Mizzou. Clark Lee staying at Vandy. Jeff Brom staying at Louisville. And Bob Chesney, who passed on the job for UCLA for some reason.
I think he thought that they were going to hire Kalani. Otherwise, he should have taken the Penn State job.
Okay,
he went quick.
Out of all that list, can you guess the total, and this is estimated, the total amount of money in extensions to those coaches?
It's got to be like $600 million.
Not quite.
500?
$370 million.
That's a lot.
Estimated. So I guess it could be more.
I mean, how many guys did you just talk about?
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
8? Yeah, I guess that makes sense. 8, and they're all making probably on average $6 million, at least. Kalani's making 9. So, yeah, over 10 years.
Signetti's making over 10. I mean, there's
Vandy's now making over 10, right?
Probably pretty close, probably in the same. I don't know what Nebraska's paying these days. Texas A&M, Mike Elko probably negotiated a healthy extension just based on his own season, let alone Penn State's interest. Probably up over 10.
Is that just extension money, or is that the total contract?
It's got to be total contract.
I would think so, yeah. That's a ton. No, Penn State has blown this. They had to get Kalani. They put all their chips on the Kalani pile. And again, we don't know if Kalani would have worked out. We don't know whoever the next person they hire is, if they're going to work out. Maybe they will. Maybe they end up with the right situation instead of hiring Kalani. But it's going to be interesting to see which direction this thing heads. Because now they've missed signing day, and you've got to figure out how this is going to look. They've got a recruiting class in the hundreds, because nobody signed there yesterday.
Because they don't have a coach.
They don't have a coach.
They haven't had a coach for a while. I mean, I don't know if they put all the eggs in Kalani's basket. I'm not sure. I'm not close enough to know the inner workings of Penn State. I do know that they've been contacting all these coaches for months now, and they can't get somebody. That's
they were one of the first openings.
Yeah, it's the whole point in firing your coach.
Why they fired him?
Why you do it?
Yeah.
So if they did put all their eggs in Kalani's basket this late in the game, well, then they're really foolish. So I don't know.
I bet they're going to end up sticking with Terry Smith, who's their interim coach, next year. Or they could, and he finished the season pretty strong. He didn't lose to UCLA, credit him. That was James Franklin. But they may go another year with him and then hope to hit up the next cycle. I can see that.
By the way, our guy Garrett Snap talked in, said Texas Tech's largest alumni base is in Dallas-Fort Worth, over 50K. So
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. All right, stay tuned. We're going to talk to our friend Keith Smith. Coming up next, we'll talk some NBA basketball, what's really going on with Giannis. Stay tuned. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. We're going to talk some NBA basketball with our friend Keith Smith of Sportrac coming up here in a moment. Sportrac, right?
Yep.
That's one of those words I always read in my brain differently than I know how it is.
We have this conversation with them every
Spotrac.
time. Christian, you need to go back and listen right
now.
now.
Spotrac is right, now that we say that. No, that happened to me with all the Lord of the Rings books, where I read all the names differently in my brain, and then
Who's Gimli? I thought his name was Gimli the whole time.
See the movie, it's like,
the heck?
Whoa, I was way off on that.
Aragorn?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Ben, I found a wacky list, and this kind of
Did it make you like him less? Because you'd fallen in love with these characters by calling them your own names.
Oh no, it's fine. I didn't worry about it that much, I suppose.
Okay, you moved on quickly.
There's actually a tie-in to Keith with this quick note, Ben. I found a list of the 20 most fun cities in the U.S. Mm-hmm. You want to know what topped the list?
Milwaukee.
No, not to know. In fact, Milwaukee didn't make it.
Oh.
Nor did Salt Lake City, which is the reason I clicked on this in the first place.
I hoped Salt Lake would make for most fun cities.
We have a fun town.
Boston?
No. It's obvious.
Nashville.
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, the most fun city in the United States. But number 2 on the list is Orlando, Florida, which I believe is where Keith calls home.
Resides, yeah.
Miami, Florida is 3rd, as much as you dislike Florida. They have another 15th, Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale is very cool. I think Fort Lauderdale is a cool town. You can see Miami from Fort Lauderdale.
Surprised Honolulu at 18.
Okay.
I would have thought maybe higher. I've had a good time in St. Louis, but I'm surprised it's at 13 because I don't exactly think of St. Louis as a good
party
town.
I
spent
think
New
Las
Year's
Vegas
there
at 1
once.
is crazy.
Why?
Like Vegas feels like it's dying. It doesn't ever.
You never go to Vegas. How would you know if it's dying?
Yeah, I go when we go down and do media days and stuff down there. Just last time I walked through, it was just like this is not what it once was.
I assure you, Vegas is going nowhere. Joining us now, he makes the magic happen for Spotrac, and he joins us, I believe, from Orlando. He is Keith Smith. Keith, would you agree that Orlando is the 2nd most fun city in the United States?
If you like theme parks and stuff like that, sure. Why not? I mean, I guess it's usually pretty nice weather here. So, yeah, I mean, that's, those are 2 components for fun, so I'll take it.
It comes in at number 2 behind Vegas, and that would be a different kind of fun.
On what's this
ranking?
Yeah,
it's a completely different kind of fun.
Oh,
Weather might be similar, but different kind of fun.
Different kind. Yeah, I don't know.
And dry versus humid.
True. Indeed.
Really dry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I go out there every year for summer league, and people are like, "Oh man, are you boiling?" And I'm like, "Yeah, at least it's dry." I'm like, in Orlando at this time of year, I walk outside, I'm like, "Why did I shower? I'm already soaked completely through my shirt."
Yeah, I lived in Orlando for a little while, and yeah, you shower and you're wet for the rest of the day. It's not ideal. All right, well, let's talk about the big news. We'll get to the Jazz, but the big news obviously is Giannis Antetokounmpo maybe in the process of asking out, and who knows, after his latest injury, which happened yesterday, I don't know if we're going to see him again in a Milwaukee Bucks uniform. Do you think this happens in season? These huge contracts are hard to move while the year is going on.
They can be, but this is where I like to remind people Jimmy Butler had a massive contract and got moved to a team that was hard capped and apron issues and everything else. So as long as teams can get creative and there's, where there's a will, there's a way, and they can make this happen. I do think we're as close as we're ever going to be to Giannis getting traded in season now. I think all of this, they're having discussions about the future. I think this is how do we frame this where we both are kind of, hey, it's run its course here. We've been together for, a decade or so now, or maybe even a little bit more, 12 years. We climbed the mountain together. We won a title, and it's just we're going to go our separate ways. But you do what's right for Giannis, do what's right for the Bucks. I think that's more of the conversation piece here than hey, what can you do to kind of salvage this situation?
What kind of package do you think Milwaukee would get?
Yeah, well, that's where it's really interesting, right? Because there's two things for the Bucks side with that. One is, do the Bucks want to blow it up and rebuild? They don't have their own picks. They owe picks to the Pelicans/Hawks and then to the Trailblazers from the previous trades they made to build teams around Giannis. So that's one question there. Now, sometimes teams hit a point where they say, you know what? The picks are gone. They are what they are. It's best for us to fully rebuild. Let's get young talent. We'll get some other draft picks, and we'll move it forward. So you could go that way, or do they want to win now package where it is, hey, give us some guys who are pretty good, and they can kind of help maybe we stay around the playoffs and those kind of things. That's the decision. And then it also comes down to, does Giannis kind of try to force an issue and say, I want to be on Team X. That's where I want to go. And does that limit the trade market? That's, again, I think that's part of probably what's being discussed right now is, all right, hey, how do we make this mutually beneficial for both of us?
The Hawks are interesting, owning some of the Bucks picks and then also having their own star in Trae Young, who they'd be interested in moving, or seems like right now they should be interested in moving. Plus, they've got a bunch of young talent, and yeah, being able to give the Bucks back some of their picks has to be appetizing for both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you did a deal with the Hawks, just taking players out of it, and you got back that pick, if you're the Bucks, if you kind of continue as a lottery team, you could have 2 lottery picks in this draft, which is an absolutely loaded draft class, full of really good players, and you could really be setting yourself up to move forward very quickly here. They also have the Hawks have Kristaps Porzingis, $30.7 million expiring contract. They are not bound by any kind of hard cap that really matters for them. They've got more than enough wiggle room under a first apron hard cap that they've triggered to make moves, to do things. So I think they're in a place where they become really interesting because, like you said, you could deliver draft capital, you could deliver a star if they wanted Trae Young. If they didn't want Trae Young, you build something based around Porzingis, and you're coming back with a Giannis, still a bunch of talent. And if I'm the Bucks, I get picks, I get a player, I get maybe some expiring salary, I get Zachary Risachet. I feel pretty good about that. That they're a really interesting trade partner. But the big thing would be, does Giannis want to be in Atlanta? Is he going to sign there long term? And that's part of the backroom conversations that are going to be happening between these front offices and Giannis's reps here over the next few weeks.
If you were Austin Ainge running the Jazz, would you look to be adding or subtracting before the trade deadline?
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's funny. I was just having this conversation with someone else this morning where I said, people still have this perception, I think, of the Western Conference of, well, if you're under 500, you have no chance of being anything. And it's, that's not how it is this year. The West is nowhere near as deep as it used to be. I mean, I think as it stands right now, the Jazz are only a couple games out of being in one of the hosting play-in tournament games. So they're in a spot where, I think you could, if it was the right time to move. I'm not pushing all my chips in and going and getting somebody unless I really believe this is a long-term, multi-year guy for us. But I'm also not going to be upset if they say, all right, let's go get some guys that can help us push forward. We think, a good step forward is be a playoff team this year, and then we'll be even better the year after that. We'll still have flexibility, still have all this young talent. We can kind of go forward. And then if they decide, all right, it's just not the right year, the best thing for us is to kind of pull the rug out again, bottom this thing out, keep our pick because it's top 8 protected. Let's keep that pick that extinguishes that obligation fully. Maybe that is the best way to go. I think the good news for the Jazz is they have some flexibility, but I think we're starting to near the end of the light. There's light at the end of the tunnel where it is. We're no longer in this. We're just in asset collection rebuild mode. I think we're getting closer to it's time to start adding real talent and moving this thing forward.
Is Oklahoma City going to scare teams off from going all in while they have this juggernaut put together the way it seems like some Eastern Conference teams didn't want to compete while LeBron was in the Eastern Conference, and when he left, they thought maybe, hey, now's our time to buy. Are the Thunder going to scare teams off of trying to improve too dramatically?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think I always go back to, and I'm glad you referenced those Cavs and the Warriors, right? We went through a 4-year period where you could have wrote it in the prior July that it's going to be Cavs Warriors. We'll all see you in June, right? And that happened 4 years in a row, and we all knew it was kind of coming. And I always think about those Houston Rockets teams where they were like, man, the Warriors are this powerhouse, but you know what? We're going to go for it. We're going to try to challenge them. They're going to beat us. They're going to have to beat us. And they got close couple times taking down the Warriors. In the East, you had the Celtics kind of say, all right, you know what, we're starting to build this thing up. We're not going to shy away. We'll go add some guys when we think it's the right time. And they went out and added Al Horford. They went out and added Gordon Hayward. That didn't go well, but they still made the move. You had Miami kind of say, we're still going to try to build this up to try to push after, LeBron was with the Cavs. So I think that's a long way of saying I don't think teams are going to be super scared. I think teams are respectful of the Thunder. I think everybody, would be lying to you if they said they're not absolutely the prohibitive favorite to repeat. But I think look at and say Denver pushed them to 7 games. The Pacers pushed them to 7 games. If there was a bad shooting game in that series or something goes a little bit different in Game 7, maybe they're not the champs, and maybe things do go a little bit different. So I do think teams will go after it because you don't make the NBA at any level, player, coach, or general manager, without being supremely confident in your ability to build a winner.
Two-part question, but it's certainly related. What do you think of the Clippers stinking up the league, and why cut Chris Paul in the middle of the night?
Yeah, it's to the first part. I'm Charlie Brown with Lucy holding the football with the Clippers. I mean, they get me every year. Like I got to quit them, and I don't know, what it says about me that I keep looking at them like, man, they're loaded with talent. They're gonna figure this thing out, and then every year they seem to be a little disappointing. Despite last year when they're actually probably one of the more fun groups that they've had that's overachieved to what we thought. As far as the Chris Paul part goes, it's not a good look. It's especially with all the reporting of Chris Paul was trying to hold people accountable. Well, you should be held accountable. You stink. You're underachieving. You're 6-16, and that's after a win last night. And I know Lawrence Frank in his statement, and then in his conversation with the media is like, hey, we're not putting this on Chris Paul. But then you can't be mad that Chris Paul was like, hey, we're not doing the things we need to be doing. And I think with them, they looked at it and said, you know what? The juice is just not worth the squeeze here anymore. Chris Paul he's not as productive for us to put up with this. He's making, us unhappy. He's making the coaches unhappy. He's making the other players unhappy. We just got to move on and go in a different direction. We're not good enough, nor is he good enough to put up with this right now. And that's a little sad that that's the way it's kind of playing out here for Chris Paul and what looks like it's going to be his last season.
There are a lot of disappointing teams, I think, this season. Clippers among them that we're talking about. Is anyone more disappointing right now than the Cleveland Cavaliers?
I would say the Clippers are, just because they are absolutely awful. But, yeah, I mean, the Cavs are down in the play-in range right now. And I said coming into the season, I didn't think the Cavs and the Knicks were going to push overly hard in the regular season because I think they were kind of in their arc as a team where it is, hey, we've done the thing of win a whole bunch of regular season games. It hasn't gotten us to an NBA Finals yet. Never mind win a title. So I think we'll be good, but if we finish behind Detroit or Orlando or Atlanta, it is what it is. We're not going to worry about it too much. And then when you look at the Cavs, though, you kind of took a little bit of a laissez-faire approach. Then you had a bunch of injuries on top of it. And all of a sudden you're looking at a team that's like, we don't want to be in the play-in tournament. Because when you're down in the play-in tournament, all it takes is a bad shooting night, and all of a sudden your season is over. And you're like, wait, what happened? We were supposed to be a title contender, and now, we're done in the middle of April. So I do think as they get a little healthier, we'll see them push, but it's kind of unfortunate they put themselves in a position to have to push at all because they are starting to fall and lag behind some of these other teams, and they don't want to be down there in the playing range. So, yeah, absolutely fair to call them disappointing.
Think the Lakers are for real?
Ish. Some of the things with the Lakers, if you look at some of their kind of underlying metrics, are not very good. They don't really blow teams out when they've lost. They've tended to get blown out. They're very, heavily dependent on, three guys offensively and Luka, Reeves, and LeBron. So there's some stuff. But again, it's Luka, Reeves, and LeBron. Those are three really, really good players. And I think they're going to go into any game feeling like, hey, we have a chance because Luka can win a game all by himself. Austin Reeves is starting to approach that. And LeBron he's not LeBron all caps, but he's LeBron still. He's still somebody you have to respect. But I do think, they're nowhere near the Thunder. They're not even on their realm as a team. And I think they're behind Denver, Houston. Even if they're ahead of them in the standings, I would not favor them to beat those teams in a playoff series. I think those teams are enough better. But maybe they've got another move in them. We'll see. They've got some tradable salary. So, we'll see what it looks like. If they could do something else, that will make me believe in them a lot more.
Keith, I get the feeling that there are 7 teams that were at the top of last year's draft who wouldn't trade their own player for the other player that's also playing great out of this class. Would Con Knippel be on the trade board for VJ Edgecombe? And, the Jazz probably wouldn't move Ace Bailey for those guys right now either. This is just a very, very good rookie class that seems like it's going to permeate throughout the NBA for the next decade.
Yeah, absolutely is. I mean, there was all this talk coming into last college season about Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey, and Dylan Harper. And, you had even people convincing themselves like Harper, Bailey over Flagg. And I was a Flagg guy from the beginning because I saw him play a lot at Montverde Academy down the road from me here in Orlando. And I was, super high on his ability as a player. But I liked Bailey a lot. I had Ace Bailey number 3 on my board behind Dylan Harper when it all settled. But I think you're absolutely right. I think the emergence of Edgecombe and Con Knippel have been really good. There's some guys playing even further down in the draft that are starting to show some stuff. I think this is a really good draft class. And this draft class coming up is just absolutely loaded as well, even, more good talent. I mean, the NBA is just got all this great talent feeding into it on top of, some of the guys. We're starting to lose the LeBrons and Chris Paul and Al Horford and eventually Stephen Curry, and those guys kind of age out of the league. I think we are set up in a place where this league is just loaded with talent and guys that are going to be really, really good for a very long time. I think the NBA is in as good of a spot as it's been for a number of years, and part of that is these recent draft classes.
Keith, we love having you on. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Keith.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. That's Keith Smith. He writes for Sportrac.com.
I like Keith a lot. Good follow.
Oh, Keith's great.
Good Twitter follow.
Do you think the Lakers are for real?
No. Their net rating is on par with the Phoenix Suns, which is the 7th best team in the West. And I think net rating is a little goofy, but it does bear out over a long enough period of time. So I think they're good. I think Luka's a great player, and I think Austin Reeves is a good player. I think LeBron's a very good player. But, when push comes to shove, can you count on DeAndre Ayton to win you a playoff series? The reason they couldn't get anywhere in the playoffs last year is because they didn't have anyone to stop Rudy Gobert. And everyone loves Rudy. We know how good Rudy can be, but not Rudy because he can score 20 points a game, and they ran into that. So everything they did awesome. They couldn't slow Rudy or Julius Randle. It's DeAndre Ayton's not stopping that.
Did you see any of, and not that you'd watch some random one-off Laker game, and I suppose I didn't watch this entire game either, but did you see that the Lakers did lose to Phoenix the other day by 30 points?
A lot, yeah.
And that game and what happened after is why I doubt the Lakers. One, LeBron spent a bunch of energy to continue the 10-point streak, which seems
arbitrary,
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then, kind of got into it with the coach, with the old sommelier. But after the game, so Luka had 9 turnovers in that game. 9. And he was asked about not getting other players going. And in his answer, he said, well, I was able to score 40 points. He mentioned that. Now he's trying to say I wasn't able to get the other things in my game going. That was kind of his point. But it wasn't lost on me that he's like, well, I scored 40.
Yeah.
Well, what do you want from me?
Yeah, what do you want from me?
I scored 40.
Right.
I mean, I did enough for this team to win. I just, that is why I don't believe in the Lakers.
I don't believe in the Lakers. I don't believe in the Cavs either. They lost a lot in the offseason. And this is exactly what happens. Again, you get very expensive. They really went all in 1 year. It's what we were talking about a couple of segments ago with the Oklahoma City Thunder. You can't go all in 4 years in a row. You just get a little bit worse every year is the truth. Now, the Thunder, because they have so many young players, you can re-sign those guys. You can go over the cap to re-sign them.
They have draft assets coming out there a year still. They
Right.
have 4 first-round picks as it stands right now
And
this upcoming draft.
And you do need to hit on them. They have hit extraordinarily well, and if they keep hitting, they're going to stay relevant. Now, are any of those picks going to be as good as Jalen Williams or Chet Holmgren or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? Probably not. But yes, they have the best chance to sustain this. Everyone else is going to fall off around them, to the point. The Cavaliers were one of the best offenses we've ever seen. How many games did the Cavs win last year? It was like 67. It was crazy. It's like one of the great seasons of all time. This year they're 13-10. They can't win on the road. They're going to fall apart.
All right, we wrap up the show. Coming up next, Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Who's got it better than us?
Your home for the best sports coverage in Utah. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Two amigos on the airwaves, talking sports. They got him made Jake's and also loves his tie-dye. Ben's got style with his scarf. Oh my. From the islands to the basketball courts.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This segment brought to you by Peach Doors and Windows. Amazing home transformations begin with Peach, where 5-star reviews are the norm. Call them today for your free in-home estimate, 801-566-1255, Peach Doors and Windows. Ben, you're not really a tattoo guy, but would you get your beloved's name tattooed somewhere? If she asked you to, if she said, Ben, this would really mean a lot to me, would you do it?
It's probably a bad idea.
So that's a no.
It's probably a no.
I bet Christian's got his wife tattooed on him already.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, you want to see?
Not really.
Just kidding.
Get the cameras out.
No, I don't.
If she asked you to, would you?
Probably not a name. Maybe like
Her logo.
Yeah, her logo, yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. If you had already been divorced and were giving it another go, then would you get that a tattoo?
Yeah, I think you have to.
At that point. I bring this up because J-Lo is getting her Ben Affleck tattoo removed. But I think that was a bold move considering that their marriage had already failed when they gave it another go.
This time it's for real.
This time it's going to work. And you know how I know? Got it inked on me.
Yeah.
No going back
next
now.
Next time I realize I hate you, I'll look at my tattoo and realize actually I don't hate you. The tattoo will remind me.
It's really funny. I guess it's that way, with J-Lo and Ben. It's just like newborns, right? You forget how taxing having a newborn is.
Yeah.
Like
you talked about it. It's like Cortez burning the boats, right? It's just like, can't go back.
Got a tattoo now. Well, apparently you can.
You can.
Because she's getting it removed.
You can remove it or just cover over it. It's pretty easy to do, actually.
Yeah. I'm not a tattoo guy, so I don't know if I'd say no. If she really said, hey, you're doing this or it's over, I guess I would. But I would be reluctant. I'm with you. It just seems unnecessarily bold.
It's a commitment. Probably make more sense with your kids because truly you can't get rid of your kids.
No.
You can't undo your kids.
And the other thing is having someone put their name on me is weird. Like you put it on your math paper when you turn it in 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you really need to put your name on me?
Right.
So the teacher knows who to pass it back to?
Yeah. Who's seeing this tattoo anyways that needed to be reminded at the last moment of like, oh man, it was rounding third base. And I saw Jake on your wrist.
Right.
I didn't know there was a Jake in the picture. Now I feel like a bad guy.
Was it just first name? Was it just Ben? Or was it like Ben Affleck?
Hold on. I closed the thing already. Let me see if
I had that problem for example, when I was younger, still in school, right? And you're like writing a Mother's Day card, and it's like love Christian, but then I'd put like love Christian Esparza because I was used to putting my name on paperwork.
Glad you clarified who it was.
I don't know, Ben. Look at that. It's not like his name. It's like a tribute tattoo
on her ribs.
Yeah, it looks like
tattoo.
It probably hurt to get. Probably hurts worse to take off, right?
Ugh. All right.
Well, she hasn't really been lucky in love. Maybe she tried the tattoo thing because
maybe that's what was wrong about all of her previous relationships.
She didn't tattoo it. Yeah,
I buy it.
Like the whole A-Rod thing didn't work out because
she didn't get an A-Rod tattoo.
No.
Yeah. Get a big Yankees tattoo or something.
By the way, she was not his type. If you know, you know. That was just destined not to work.
She was not A-Rod's type?
No.
Who does A-Rod like?
Short, masculine women.
Oh. Who else has he dated?
That's why I'm saying, if you know, you know.
Oh, I don't know. Okay.
It's out there. You can look at who he cheated on J-Lo with.
Oh.
But there's other things out there.
All right. Cool.
She's not his type.
Not his type.
Right. We could just leave it there.
Yeah. She being the key.
No. He likes women. That's not what I'm implying. He just has a type. Don't look at me like that, Lloyd. I'm not breaking any news here. You can look into it.
Okay.
Not J-Lo, though. Not his type. You could have seen that coming. That's probably why there wasn't a tattoo there. Hans and Scotty G are coming up next. Am I in trouble,
Christian.
Lloyd?
Christian Esparza.
Stay tuned. More next. 97.5 DKSL Sports Zone.